Welcome to Jackson County Government in Action. In this ongoing series of county meetings and discussions, we hope that county residents will better understand the inner workings of county government. Our goal is to inform, educate, and show citizens how they can become part of the process and participate in creating solutions. Now, Jackson County Government in Action.
11 and 1:30 p.m. in the Jackson County Courthouse Auditorium. This hearing is to consider a text amendment to the Jackson County Land Development Ordinance, Section 6.2.2, Use Table for Base Zoning District, Section 6.3.1A, Agriculture. The purpose of the text amendment would allow for small animals within the White City Urban Unincorporated Boundary, better known as the WCUUCB. File number LRP 2011-00007. The planning staff assigned on this are Mr. Frank Hernandez. Where's Frank?
Frank's out in the audience.
There he is.
Our senior planner, and Kelly Matty, our development services director, who's seated with us up here. Our legal staff assigned for this today is Ryan Kirchhoff, who is our head legal counsel for the county. At this time, I'd like to ask legal counsel to request admonishments be given.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There are a number of items that I am required to address prior to the start of this hearing. Number one, direct your testimony, please, to the comprehensive plan, land development ordinance, or other land use regulations which you believe apply to the decision now before the Board of Commissioners. Number two, remember that a failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the commissioners and other parties an opportunity to respond to the issue. And three, the county is making a verbatim recording of the hearing. In the event of an appeal, it will probably be necessary to transcribe it. Therefore, when you testify or comment, please speak loudly and clearly so that your testimony will be recorded correctly. Begin by identifying yourself so that anybody reading a transcript of the record will know who is talking. We need to have you clearly identify yourself with name and address for the record. Number four, any written comments or other items of evidence must be submitted to the clerk to be marked as an exhibit for the record. And five, all participants who wish to speak should sign up at the sign-up sheet provided there at the podium. And number six, before the hearing is opened, the commissioners will indicate whether or not they've had any ex parte contacts. And before the public hearing is open, we will have a report from the county planning staff, and the commissioners may have questions or comments in that regard. The hearing will be opened after that, and once the public hearing is opened, we will hear first from those in favor of the amendments, and those not in favor will go after. Each party will have 5 minutes to present their testimony. And once everyone has had an opportunity to speak, the public hearing and associated public record will be closed.
Ryan, we've established 3 minutes.
Oh, pardon me, 3, yes. So you'll have to talk a little faster to make it within 3 minutes. That should be enough time for everyone to get their comments in. Thank you. So at this time, I'd like to ask the commissioners if they've had any ex parte contact with the applicant or the applicant's agents, members of the public, or those who have visited the site.
I've had no ex parte contact. I don't have any conflicts on this matter, and I don't own any chickens.
What? Don?
How do you follow that? As far as ex parte, now I have talked to some folks about this. We've received numerous emails, and I have been out and drove around the White City unincorporated urban area. So.
And that's fine. It's disclosed, and we'll proceed, and that shouldn't cause any problems in this context.
I need to answer that question. So
Okay.
I too have been. I've received calls and letters, and I've been stopped on the street, which is not as bad as sometimes I've been stopped on the street. And I do have chickens, so. But I don't consider that a conflict of interest. And the issue, I believe, is a legislative research issue, and I've taken questions and comments pro and con. So,
and all those
I
ex
appreciate
parte,
those citizens that made an effort to contact us. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All of those ex parte contacts are perfectly acceptable, and we can proceed. Thank you.
All right. Thank
Well, Mr. Chair, let me say that I've received the emails too. I didn't realize those Those were considered ex parte contacts, or they are?
They are, but they aren't any ex parte contacts that would affect the legitimacy of this proceeding.
Thank you.
All right. With that said, I'd like to ask planning staff for their report. So,
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. My name's Kelly Matting. I'm the Development Services Director. And let me just step back and give you a little bit of history,
can everybody hear Kelly okay? Okay.
regarding White City. In 2004, the county's land development ordinance was amended, and it included a chapter that was specifically dedicated to White City. At that time, White City was basically upzoned. So prior to that, White City, their lots range from an acre to 5 acres to 10 acres. There was a core of development, kind of the old development in White City that was less than an acre, but most of the properties were an acre or more. And White City was designated for urbanization, and that urbanization looked like now between 1 unit per acre and 30 units per acre. So White City was, like I said, upzoned significantly from what it was. When our land development ordinance was moved through the public process, it went to the White City Planning Commission, and the White City Planning Commission was made up of citizens of White City who looked at that ordinance and determined that it was best to not allow non-intensive agriculture in White City. I think at that time, the prevailing thought, and keep in mind, this is some time ago, that there would be conflicts with large farm animals and kind of this burgeoning development of White City. And I think they wanted to avoid that. So they put a provision in the county's land development ordinance which precluded non-intensive or intensive agriculture in White City and really precluded farm animals in White City. Well, fast forward to 2011, and there are lots of people who want to do urban agriculture, who are looking to help themselves and their families feed themselves, and there's this desire, I think, for that urban agriculture. So what we did was staff went out and looked at, surveyed all of the cities in Jackson County to see what kind of farm animals, if any, cities within Jackson County allow. And what we found is that most cities don't allow large farm animals. Cities like Medford and Central Point, Phoenix. Eagle Point allows chickens in some areas, but most cities do allow chickens, but they don't allow large farm animals. And so what staff did was took a look at our existing ordinance, the existing land development ordinance, and proposed some changes to that. And I'd like to just walk you through the changes right now. And they're up on the screen. Mr. Chair, like you said, we're looking at amending section 6.2.2, which is this use table for base zoning districts. And if you go down and you look at agriculture, and you look at non-intensive agriculture, if you look over here, you'll see in this table there are these 2 boxes that have a 1 with an asterisk. And if you look up at the top of this matrix, what you see is that's over the urban residential zoning districts. Those are the residential zoning districts in White City. So from UR1, urban residential 1, to urban residential 30, this 1 asterisk covers those areas. And what it essentially says is, you'll notice that the ones go all the way across. And what that denotes is that non-intensive agriculture is allowed as a permitted use in all of these zones that are non-resource zones. So this isn't exclusive farm use, and this isn't forest. These are these kind of non-resource zones, like rural residential zoning, this urban residential, general commercial, general industrial, and light industrial, and general industrial. And so what I'm proposing or recommending is that to amend this table to allow non-intensive agriculture or some types of non-intensive agriculture in White City, what I'm proposing is at the bottom, and this is on page 12 of your record if you wanted to reference that. At the bottom, what this asterisk right now denotes is it says it's not permitted within the White City urban unincorporated community. So what I'm recommending is to strike that and to simply say, see section 6.3.1. So moving to section 6.3.1, which is on page 14 of your record. This is, covers non-intensive agriculture. And what it says currently is agriculture is defined as a type 1 use in all districts except the White City urban residential districts. What I'm proposing, what I'm recommending is that we strike out except the White City urban residential districts. So that sentence would read, agriculture as defined is a type 1 use in all districts. Now, like I said, staff tried to make this, our ordinance, compatible or consistent, I think, with the other cities in our area. And so, like I said, that most cities don't allow large farm animals. So what staff has recommended is some language in section A that reads, and it's in red, bolded and underlined up on the screen. Some farm animals and birds, due to their nature and size, are not permitted in the White City urban residential districts. Now we go on to the various types of animals, and I can show you what staff is recommending. So for under number 1, these are considered non-intensive agriculture. Large animals such as cows, horses, mules, donkeys, llamas, camels, buffalo, and the like would remain not permitted according to this recommendation, because it says except in the White City urban residential districts where large animals as described are not permitted. Number 2, with alpacas, sheep, or goats, and miniature horses. And we would interpret miniature horses to include miniature donkeys, for those who might have a question about that. Leaving that language the same, that 3 per acre would be allowed in White City. As for poultry, our code says 20 units per acre is non-intensive, and we would leave that language to allow poultry at 20 units per acre, except roosters in the White City urban residential districts, because that was the other thing that we found, was that in cities, roosters are not permitted. For ostriches, for number 4 and number 5, for ostriches, emus, and rheas, we would, I'm recommending that we continue to not allow those farm animals in White City. Going down to fur-bearing animals, number 6, allowing fur-bearing animals at 50 per acre. And as in terms of swine, that was another farm animal that was not allowed in most cities. So large farm animals weren't allowed, roosters weren't allowed, and swine weren't allowed. And so what I'm recommending is adding some language that swine is allowed except in White City. So in a nutshell, what this ordinance, these recommended changes do is currently, like I said, none of these animals are permitted in White City. What this does is allow alpaca, sheep, or goats, and miniature horses, 3 per acre. Poultry, 20 per acre, but no roosters. Fur-bearing animals, 50 per acre. So that includes rabbits or mink or other fur-bearing animals. And allowing those sort of 3 sections in White City. And that is the staff recommendation.
All right, thank you. Do you have questions of staff?
I have a question. Kelly, can we go back to 6.2.1? Where it says type 2, or type 1, does that mean that's a permit that's required? Does someone have to
No.
buy a permit?
No.
So just to clarify that, there's no requirement. It's a type 1 use, which means you
It's-
don't have to get a permit. It's, okay.
It's permitted
So
outright.
there's no
So-
cost
No.
to have, okay, thank
Nope.
you.
So anyone can come, anyone can have those animals without needing a permit.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions of staff?
No, Kelly sat with us each individually yesterday afternoon to go through her recommendations, and she had answered, at that time, answered most of the questions, or all of the questions that I'd had at that time. I want to just make a comment that I think the work that they've done, she and her staff have done as far as looking to see what the other cities here, and you think of towns like Talenton and Gold Hill and Shady Cove and such that looked at their ordinances and as well as Medford, obviously, and Central Point, larger Ashland, larger ones. It's really done a nice job of getting that and giving us in context of what is permitted, what isn't permitted with here in the valley. So I think this ordinance is, anyway, I would just want to compliment you on doing that. Thank you.
I had a couple of questions. There was a question that came up in regards to 3 animals, goats were included, 3 per acre?
Yes.
Per 1 acre. What if they have 1 only, and do you diminish that by the acreage or that they're on? Or?
Right, so the way the code reads, if you have, and let's use poultry for an example. If you have a 1/4 of an acre, then you can have 5 chickens. So you're doing sort of that math, and you know, because we can't split a chicken, at least we wouldn't want to.
Not while they're alive, at least.
Right.
We'd just,
Right.
We'd sort of wait till they're...
So you would sort of round down, if you will. So for example, if you had, you know, if you had a 1/3 of an acre or something like that, then you would do the math, and that's what you would be allowed. So if you were in a small acreage, you know, you were a 6,000 square foot parcel, I think I did the math, and I think you could have 2 chickens with this scenario. So the smaller the acreage, of what that means is the smaller the acreage, the fewer chickens you can have doing that mathematical calculation.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't opened the public hearing yet, but I will. Any other questions? of
Yes,
staff?
I have a
Yes,
question.
come on.
Kelly, did the staff look at peacocks at all? I had one inquiry about peacocks.
You know, we didn't.
Okay.
We didn't because what we were doing was simply amending the ordinance that's in existence. And so
Right.
the ordinance that is in existence didn't include peacocks.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Have you ever driven up a driveway on a beautiful sunny day and it's very calm, and a peacock screams as you drive right by them, and you're with your grandparents? It's really wonderful. It's scared the dickens out of it. You didn't know that about peacocks, did you?
No, I live
I
in
knew-
Medford. I'm sorry, I didn't know. Not many peacocks.
Yeah, right, all right, okay. I remember that occasion really well. Okay, so the other question I have, there's no delineation and no discussion about the idea of containment. I did get a call from a lady talking about there was a neighbor down the street and their chickens were free-ranging. Well, that's inappropriate in an urban setting, so I think we probably will have to have some kind of clarification of that, so people understand they can have chickens, but they can't go outside the perimeter of the property. So I think that needs to be clarified
If
in
that's
some form or fashion.
right, and if that's a desire by the board, I can produce some language fairly quickly that could take care of that. And where we would probably locate that is in under 6.3.1A. Because instead of being redundant in all of those numbers 1 through
Just an
7, we
overall-
could put some
yeah.
language in that that addresses animals running at large.
How does that sound?
Well, I agree, and I don't want to get into deliberations. I agree with that, but would we have to have another public hearing then if we amended that?
No, because right now what's open. So let's talk about what's open. What's open is this section of our land development ordinance, both the table and this section, but it's only open for White City. We notice this as talking about within the White City urban and incorporated boundary. So it's strictly within White City. And I'm glad you brought that up, because if the board wanted to change, and let's just say you wanted to change poultry to 30 per acre, just generally, you wanted to just change that, you couldn't do that at this hearing, because this hearing is specifically for White City, the area of White City. So what we would have to do, when you deliberate, if you desired to have some language that was around animals at large, it would be specifically for White City.
All right. Any other questions of staff?
Not for me.
No.
All right. All right. At this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing and public testimony. Again, the purpose of this hearing is to consider allowing small farm animals in the White City urban unincorporated boundary. Please direct your testimony to the county's comprehensive plan and land development ordinance, which you believe apply to the decision now before us today. We're not going to be talking about any other issue because we didn't publicly notice that. And if you get up and talk about, say, one lady has an issue about stray cats, that's not an issue that we can actually discuss because we have to publicly notice it and we have to allow the public opportunity to come in and talk pro or con about it. So that's why we have a very strict guideline about what we discuss for a public hearing, because it gives everybody a chance to be noticed and offer a pro and con argument. So if, we're not trying to be harsh or not allow freedom of expression. It's simply a matter of how the state statutes apply to all public meeting law. So with that said, all of you who wish to speak, please sign up, and I do have a sign-up sheet here. We will first hear from those who are in favor of the text amendment, and then we will hear from those opposed. Each party will have 3 minutes to present your testimony. Please remember to state your name and address clearly for the record. If you would like to provide written testimony, please make sure you provide it to our recording clerk who's seated to my right, and she will take that and enter it into the record. Once everyone has had an opportunity to speak at the public hearing and record, will be closed, and the Board of Commissioners will move into its deliberations on this issue. With that said, now some folks haven't put, now Melanie Barnes, are you for or against? Okay, come on ahead and speak if you like, and please state your name and address for the record, please.
Please bear with me, I've never done this before. My name is Melanie Barnes. I live at 415 Wilson Way in Eagle Point. I'm within the Urban Renewal Project of White City. We're on the border of White City and Eagle Point. And I'm not really sure what to say, but I am for bringing back the chickens. I have a 15-year-old daughter who's disabled and has raised chickens since she could walk. And she has sold her eggs over the summer. The same people have come to us every year. And she, we had her chickens. Jason came out to the house and said that our chickens had to be removed. So we gave them to a friend of ours. And my daughter and her disability, every time my daughter has gotten upset over the past month, so she hasn't had her chicken, she always defaults to why did they take my chickens? Why did they take my chickens? She does not understand. We don't know what to tell her. We live on a big half acre of land, and it's, her doctor even wrote a letter to the board or whoever it was that set the ordinance, and saying that it was therapeutic for her, and it is. She spent hours with her chickens, and it was denied. It was denied that she could have her chickens back.
How long ago was that?
6 months?
Yeah,
6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, she has a
Well, you
disability.
see what the purpose of the hearing is today, and I'm sorry it takes so long for government to try to move, the wheels of government, but we're trying to get that resolved for you. So,
Okay, okay. That's it, thank you.
thank you for your comments. Michelle Hayes.
I'm Michelle Hayes, 7500 Division Road, White City. I just would like to say I love the way you guys have this written now. I think that moving forward with it is going to be an awesome opportunity for other families to be more self-sufficient and be able to provide, especially in these hard economic times that we're going through. They're neat to watch. They're great. They teach my children, self-responsibility. They, and again, they provide for my family, my neighbors. None of my neighbors would complain. They get free eggs. So
you bought off your neighbors.
I did, absolutely. Hey, anything to keep them. In fear of bribery, I would have brought you eggs.
I've known other people to do that around the courthouse.
Okay.
I won't say
okay.
who, though.
I'll remember that for future. But just, you guys have any questions for us or me or?
Do you have chickens?
I do.
Yeah,
I
so-
do. I have 5, and I live on a quarter of an acre.
And meets the family needs, those 5?
It exceeds my family
Yeah,
needs, which
isn't that
is
something?
nice
Yeah.
because then I've got a neighbor beside me who has 4 kids and a neighbor behind me who has 3, and
So-
they, have it's been 6-7 months since they've had to purchase eggs. So
Yeah,
and
very good.
holidays and all that good stuff. It's nice to have. They taste so much better.
Any questions? Yeah.
I do have a question. Are they penned?
They
Are
are
they
penned.
confined?
And when I do let them out, I have a fenced yard, and they never roam off my property at all. And so, yeah, if they're not in their run, then they're within the yard. And so.
How
I
about a
use 'em
rooster?
for-
Do you have a rooster?
No,
Okay.
no, that was soup.
Okay.
So there's your cutting your chicken in half to put in the pot. And I would only say, peacocks, I think they are in the same realm as a rooster.
Yeah, because they're so noisy. Yeah, they really
Yes.
are.
So,
We might have been to include peacocks in that.
okay, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Angela Akers, are you for or again?
I'm totally for.
Okay, all right then. Go ahead and speak.
Angela Akers, 3180 Antelope Road, White City. And my big thing is my daughter was raised,
Hold the little mic, move the mic down a little bit closer to you. Yeah.
sorry, I'm short.
That's all right. That's okay.
My daughter was raised with 30 chickens when we lived in Grants Pass. And we live on 2.5 acres now. Right now, I've got 3 adults and 2 babies coming up for spring. And I have a brand-new granddaughter that I'm trying to do the same thing with her
Yeah.
because the kids do live with us. So we're trying to do exactly what we did with my daughter for my granddaughter.
Okay.
Just like Michelle said, all the stuff that's going on with the economy and stuff, and
You see enough flexibility in the proposals?
this.
Okay,
I love this.
all right.
So, thank you.
Thank you very, oh, yeah.
Ma'am,
Ms. Akers?
ma'am,
Yeah.
pardon me, I'm sorry. Same question. Are the chickens penned?
Yes, they have a coop, and like Michelle said, our house sits right in the middle of 2.5 acres, so they're never even close to the road or anything. I got a lot of property around us, so they go on to the other side of the house sometimes and pick up bugs. I mean, they eat bugs. They take care of pests. We don't have to buy pesticide because of them. Egg laying, feeding the family, and they eat. If you ever never want fleas on your dogs or your cats, get chickens. Not kidding.
Okay.
I've never, whenever I've had chickens, I don't have fleas.
I would like to say that chickens have quite the eye for detail. I mean, they're very.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Nadine Crowder? Nadine?
I am all for it, but since I'm the lady that wants to talk about cats,
Okay, well, today's not the day to talk about cats. You can come on Wednesdays and bring that to our attention or send a notice to us, so.
and I will say I'm all for it, and if these people, these families, they have children,
Okay.
put
You-
them in 4-H with those small ones.
All right, thank you very much. Well, Nadine, we got your address, and so we'll take your statements as part of the testimony, so you're for it, so. Anybody else wishing to speak that hasn't signed up today? Anybody else wishing to speak who hasn't signed up today?
We do have some.
We do
Yeah,
have
come on,
some.
come
yeah,
ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm Lori Hudson. I live at 3235 Antelope Road. And the one thing that I get excited about is when my grandkids come out and they have, each one of them have a chicken and they call it by name and they hold it and they pet it and they're getting into 4-H. And you will never see a child that's in 4-H go out on the street and cause trouble.
Very few.
And they feed my children, they feed my children's children. You know, they're just, they're the American way. You know, like you said, CW. You know, you just can't have something better for kids. Like she said. You know,
All right.
basically that's it.
Thank you, Lori, very much. Thank you. All right, anybody else wishing to speak, pro or con? Anybody opposed?
Is there anyone speaking against the change in the ordinance?
All right.
Probably be tarred and feathered.
Last call.
No pun intended.
Great pun.
That was a good one.
All right. All right, with that said, I hereby close the public hearing. And is there a motion on any exhibits? Do we have any additional exhibits to enter today? All right. Exhibits 1 through 7. Chair will entertain a motion on that.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I move we admit Exhibits 1 through 7 into the record.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Call the roll, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, record is so ordered and approved. At this time, the board will move into deliberations. So, gentlemen, staff have been giving you reports and so forth, and we've had a chance. What say you?
Well, let me say, I think staff did an excellent job, and I think this is a very workable solution to the issue. The only question I have, there's two issues still hanging out there, and maybe we can't act on them today. One of them is the containment issue, and the another one is the peacock issue. Now, the peacock issue, because that's not in the ordinance, I would assume we probably can't act on that today. Would that be correct?
Can I address that, Mr. Chair?
Yes, absolutely.
So, the way our ordinance is written is it wouldn't allow a peacock because a peacock isn't, so the way it's written is these things are allowed, and if they're not in this ordinance, then they're not. So a peacock wouldn't be allowed as non-intensive agriculture in White City or in any of the zones that are in that are on page 13 of your record, those
Okay.
non-resource zones. So if your desire was to not allow peacocks in White City, actually, that is already taken care of.
All right, well, great. That takes care
Kind of a silly example would be the same as water buffalo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or a giraffe,
That's right.
you know, or
Well, I
something.
was trying to stay in agriculture.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess, right.
All depends on the content, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So the other issue is containment then?
Right.
Containment and,
Oh, I have a couple comments.
Or my issue?
go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just saying that was my other issue.
What?
Oh, go.
Okay, I just, I hope everybody understands that there is, the ordinance that does allow, and we seem to be talking specifically about chickens, but there are other animals included there. But there are restrictions on the amount of those particular animals, birds, given the size of the property that one owns. So I hope everyone does understand that granted, for folks in a small piece of property, going to be darn tough, but that's again, given the closeness and such, that makes sense to me. But I just want to make sure of that. And then the other question I would have, besides containment, as we brought up earlier, is that there's, I think staff, Kelly told us there's about 100 properties in this particular area that are 1 acre or greater. And most of those are at 1 acre, but there are some a little bit larger than that. And I'm just wondering, as I was looking through the research that Kelly and her staff did on the other cities, there was something that caught my eye that I thought might be handy as well, as besides a containment issue, and that's addressed in a couple of, I think, City of Ashland or something, but also about, and I'm thinking now of the larger properties, the 1 acre to the 5 acre lots. Does it make sense to Kelly to have, or fellow commissioners, if I had swine and I'm allowed X amount of swine, would you want those right up next to your property line if you were on the other side of the property? Should they be a setback? I mean, should there be provisions made for a setback? Now, on a real small piece of property, you're not going to, well, you can't have anything like that. And I'm not thinking chickens necessarily. I'm thinking about some of the other, because this is more than just about chickens. So I'm just curious about that.
That would relate to good husbandry and trying to be a good neighbor, but I'm not sure how we could enumerate that.
Well, it is
yeah,
addressed in a
yeah,
couple
but-
of the other cities.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair? I think the first question the board has to ask themselves in light of Commissioner Skundrick's comments is, do you want to allow large farm animals? Because that's really what you're talking about in a sense. Because right now, the way that staff has recommended the ordinance, swine or large farm animals or ostriches or emus actually aren't permitted at all
Yeah.
in White City. So I think if you want to look at permitting those, then it may be appropriate to do a setback. But right now,
It's
the
not
way,
permitted.
just to clarify, the way the ordinance is proposed to you, those large farm animals, swine, ostriches, rheas, and emus are still prohibited in White City.
Got it. That answer your question?
Yes, but seems like there are.
Were you talking about a parcel of 5 acres in size? Would they be
Right.
allowed
Yeah,
in a
but it doesn't,
parcel of
and
5
according to this
acres?
ordinance, it would not be.
Right, yeah, at all. Okay,
At all.
yeah, so, yeah, that's right.
So that means folks that may have a horse, so we need to understand that. If somebody that has a horse and has 5 acres may feel like they should be, I mean, in 5 acres, I should be able to handle a horse.
But if they're in the urban renewal district, that's, yeah.
But there are 5 acres with, I mean, yeah, I understand the parcel of properties we're talking about here. I just want us to understand that because, and I don't know if we address that on a case-by-case issue or what. I don't want, for efficiency of, I don't want staff or the enforcement officers running out all over the place. I'm trying to make this, you know, again, the concentration's been on chickens here, and I'm 100% in favor of everything on that. But I want to realize that this is talking about more than chickens, and there are some circumstances that I don't know if have we fully considered. That's my question.
No comment.
Thank you for your comments. Any other discussion?
Did we solve the containment issue? Or how are we going
I
to leave that?
think we've asked staff for some language that we can add on. Now, would we have to reschedule a hearing, or can we add that as part of our discussion and deliberations today?
No, you can add that
And
as
move
part.
forward with the schedule here?
Because remember, the notice was for amending this section. If you were talking about another section of our code, you're
No.
right, you would need to renotice.
Yeah.
But right now, we said in our notice that we're looking at amending section 6.3.1A. And so if you'd like to add some language, I had, because I met with each of you individually and you all kind of had a little bit different things that you had brought up, I did prepare some language just in case the board as a whole wanted to go in that direction. And what I prepared, so let me just cut and paste this, and you can take a look at this language to see if you like it. And it would go, like I said, up here in section 6.3.1A, because it's talking about sort of the general and not the specific. And I added, so how does that sound? Within the White City urban residential districts, no owner or person in charge shall permit animals listed in section 6.3.1, so it's all the animals that we've listed as allowed in White City, to run at large. I took this language from a city.
Yeah.
So I didn't, I plagiarized it, I'll admit that.
Does that sound all right?
I think it's
All
great,
right.
yeah.
All right. Does that sound all right? Any other discussion
No.
on that?
Yeah, If you're,
And I do want to state that, a lot of times when we develop these ordinances or make changes, they are fluid. They are fluid based on the demands of the community and the reflection of what the community expects. And sometimes government gets a little ahead of people, and sometimes government gets way behind the people. So, but in this case, we're trying to stay in fairly well sync with some of the wishes of the community and try to be clear about what we would like to do. So with that said, there being no further information, Chair will entertain a motion to approve or deny the proposal with the amendments as proposed.
okay, Mr. Chair, second, now, and this would include the second, the
Yes.
amended, or however, but
So
I
you
can read this.
You can read that
okay,
and
all
add
right.
just as amended.
Okay. Based on the evidence and testimony, I move to approve a text amendment to the Jackson County Land Development Ordinance, Section 2.2.2, Use Table for Base Zoning Districts, Section 6.3.1A, Agriculture. The proposed text amendment would allow for small farm animals within the White City Urban Incorporated boundary. File number LRP 2011-0007, which would include the amendment as proposed by the planning director.
I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Call the roll, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, item so ordered and approved. Ladies and gentlemen, hold the applause now. Ladies and gentlemen, the item has been approved. We will set the first and second reading of the ordinance. And the first reading, do you have a date for the first reading?
While she's looking that up, Council, would you explain the purpose for the first and second readings for our audience, please?
Absolutely, Commissioner Skundrick. There's a two-hearing process, loosely referred to as first and second reading or first and second hearing, but technically speaking, the public hearing only takes place during the first reading, before the second reading. Once the public testimony is taken and the record is closed and the deliberations are conducted and a decision is made to go in either direction, the ordinance will be drafted to be finalized, and a second reading will be scheduled where the meeting is opened just to determine whether or not the ordinance is prepared the way that the commissioners intended it to be. It won't be another opportunity to debate the policy or the upside and downside of the decision they've made. It's already essentially done. It's only to correct language and clerical errors and so on.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you. She's checking on dates. We're getting some dates so we can finalize, so everybody understands the process. So it takes a little bit to get the wheels of government rolling, doesn't it? So it's not something that just happens overnight, so. Anybody heard any good chicken jokes lately?
Not ones I could tell you here.
Yeah, right, yeah. That's fine then, yeah. That's yeah, right, yeah. Yeah. Well, I heard one, this is an Eagle Point joke. Do you know why the chicken crossed the road? To show the possum it could be done. You live out our way. Yeah, that's cute.
I'm
That's
sure,
not-
I'm glad Damien's writing this down. I can hardly wait to see how he gets that in the paper tomorrow.
Our, you know, we have speed bumps and they're possum out in our country, so. Anyway. We're just waiting to hear from the date, so.
My goodness.
Well, Damien, this is one of the more exciting. I don't remember a story getting such front page coverage so frequently recently, so, yeah. It's good. Good, keeps the discussion light instead of this heavy stuff, you know. We sure appreciate it. Ms. Hudson, thank you for all your efforts. So, okay. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You
that's
got the
our
date?
job.
You
Got
got
the
the
dates,
date.
okay. Okay, December 14th and December 28th, 1:30 PM. Is that right, 1:30 PM? Sure.
On the 28th, you would obviously have a morning meeting. And is it okay for you to stay until 1:30 to have the second reading public hearing at 1:30, or would you rather have it at 9:30?
Why couldn't we go ahead and have it on that?
We're full-time commissioners.
Right, I know, I just wanted to give you that option, because, so,
We could roll it into our regular meeting if that's not too busy agenda for that. It's just at 9:30, that'd be fine. Would that be all right?
if, that's fine too. You can
all
do,
right?
you can do either way, or you can do it at the regular 1:30 meeting.
Whatever the board wants to do.
That's fine. I'm
9:30?
here, so make it.
9:30, you bet.
Okay, on the 28th, it'll be at 9:30 then, so. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the proposal is approved. I set the dates for the first and second reading of the ordinance. The first reading will be December 14th at 1:30 PM here in the Jackson County Auditorium.
That was 9:30.
9:30,
No, that's on the 28th.
The 14th will be at
Okay.
1:30.
okay.
And the second reading will be December 28th at 9:30 PM here at the
9:30
Jackson
a.m.
County Auditorium during our regular work session. Ladies and gentlemen, there being no further
Yeah, that's what I
business
thought.
before this
Mis-
board.
Mr.
Oh,
Chair?
I'm sorry.
Just a correction. So they're both at 9:30. I thought so too.
Okay.
Usually you have your first readings at your regular scheduled
Oh,
meetings
okay.
at 9:30.
All right.
So,
John's right on it, good.
so first meeting at 14th at 9:30 a.m. and the second reading at the 28th at 9:30 a.m.
Okay, the order is so amended, all right, to 9:30 on both of those dates, all
Do we
right?
have a motion?
No, we don't need a motion on that.
Oh, we
The
don't.
chairman has that prerogative
We
of
have
setting
that
the hearing.
authority.
You will have that authority right after you have it in January. So with that said, there being no further business before this board, I hereby adjourn this meeting. Thank you all in all. I want to thank the
Thank you
staff
for coming.
for working so quickly and hard. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
And Merry Christmas.
We hope this program has helped contribute to your understanding of how county government operates. If you would like to get involved, please call 774-6035 and learn how. You can also visit www.jacksoncounty.org and click on Video and TV Center to view many of the county's latest public meetings, informational videos, and studio programs.